This is Lisa for I Am Radio. I'd recorded another podcast to intend to share this week, but I find I was drawn to a completely different topic that I didn't expect. So, as I follow my instinct, as always, I'm going to talk about it. My gran phoned me a few days ago and she asked me if I could do a favour for her, and it was to place an advert in our local paper for my granddad, to thank everybody that helped attended the service. My granddad Pete passed away beginning April, so it was so I went along to see her, got a cup of tea, got what she wanted to say, and went away with it. Read the words. It was okay. It was okay. She was okay. It was about, again, celebrating my granddad and celebrating all those who had celebrated him. So as my gran's not very technology minded, I dealt with the newspaper and I emailed them with the draft and they sent it back. And the advert, it was as it would look in the paper, and it was, it was like, wow, this is real. This is absolutely real. And what got me, it was not so much seeing his name there, but to as part of the advert is a thistle that sits in the top right hand corner of the notice. And it just kind of struck me because my granddad was such a staunch, proud Scotsman, and I thought, wow, he would really appreciate that. He would absolutely appreciate that. And I had to acknowledge within myself, because I've been quite quiet today and really not really been speaking to a lot of people and not engaging as much as I usually have, because I've been, it's like I've kind of almost retook the loss. And it made me think about grief. And my experience of it. And then I started thinking about the emotions that were attached to that. I always come back to the counselling, because every situation, it's about you. And I came to the conclusion that grief for me had been a place of fear. It's a place of fear where you lose that person you love. You love them deeply. They've always been there your entire existence, and they're no longer there. And it's that fear of losing them, and then when it happens, it's that realisation that fear's come true. And it also makes you think and reflect on your own mortality. This is going to be, what do they say? 3 things that are inevitable in life: birth, death and taxes. So it's inevitable for all of us. But the feelings, that love, where does that love go when that person is no longer there to talk to about it? Where does that love go when that person is no longer there physically in front of you? So I went back to the counselling books, read a little bit about, we've got the stages of fear, Freudian slip, the stages of grief. And there are 7 established stages of grief. So we've got shock, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, testing, and finally acceptance. And I was looking at these very well organised and very, very well coloured and structured emotions on this PDF, like you'd see it on a course. And I looked at them and I thought, for me, there's one stage that's actually missing, and I call it excuse my language, it's shit. This is total shit. This actually, it's just absolutely, it just sucks. It sucks. I wasn't ready for my granddad to go anywhere. I really enjoyed the relationship we had. I loved going to speak to him and talking to him about stories, and he would speak to me and listen, and I remember when I worked in the police, and he loved the fact that I worked in the police, because he always had conspiracy theories going and what they were doing and ideas of what police officers were. So the fact that his granddaughter was working up at police HQ and could tell him the actual facts was a big thing for him. So I remember I would go in and see him, and I would say, "Grandad, you'll never guess what I've heard." And he would lean forward in the chair with this excited smile on his face, and I'd tell him a wee story I'd heard, and it was just that, I wasn't ready. I don't think we're ever ready to lose someone we love. We in a roundabout sort of way, we know it's going to happen. It's up there in the clouds somewhere, but it's not within the here and now. I'll deal with that when I need to deal with it. Except when you're here in the here and now and you're having to deal with it, it's a place full of emotion that's not ready to be labelled with emotion. It's very difficult to put a name on it. That's why there's 7 stages. That's why I'm sitting here, and albeit I know when I go and see my gran, he's not going to be there, or I'm not going to speak to him again in this life. There is this, I still on my phone have gran and grandad up, and I'm not changing it. I am not changing it because, that these two people are, wonderfully intertwined. They're wonderfully intertwined. And it made me think about my nana and grandad, my dearly departed nana and grandad, who I adored. I mean, I was extremely lucky. I've been extremely lucky in my life, and I'm fortunate, and I recognise that, because I had most of my grandparents up until the age I was about 40. I had most of my grandparents till 2014. That's when my nana passed away. My granddad was 2010. My granddad peaked this year. And a lot of people don't have that. A lot of people don't have their grandparents living to that age. And I appreciate and acknowledge how fortunate I am. However, I think I could be 99 and still not be ready. And I think it's that, even though, I'm going to be 42 this year, even though I go to my grandmother's and I'm an adult, I'm a working adult and I'm doing my thing, she still looks at me as a grandchild, I'm a child, and it's almost like for your grandparents, you get to glory in that innocent existence, and it's very, I want to use better words than structured, but it's very set rules. That's the role that you have. And when I was thinking about my nana and granddad, I was thinking about habits that I still had until the end of last year, I would say, where there were instances where I pretended they were still here. Like, for example, they're no longer at their house on Overtmains. They're no longer there. They've not been there for years. It's now gone back to the council. Somebody else has it. I hope they're treating it nicely as my nana did. But there's times where I'll drive into the square and park in front of the back of the house just because I want to be back there. My nana always used the back door's the front door and the front door's the back door, facing the square, so she could see what the neighbours were up to. And this, that feeling of parking at the back of the door and going up the steps, and we always used to do this thing where we'd knock on the window so she knew it was us. And I found it hasn't been until last year that I stopped doing that. And every once in a while, when I'm driving past the opening to Overmains, I think about going in and doing it, because it's such an ingrained routine. And also, my nana, especially my nana, was notorious for Christmas cards. You know. And what she would do is she would count up the number of cards she'd got from the community, which is at large as the community, and the neighbours and our friends and the flower club and da 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 da. So yeah, these so she would count up, and you'd go in and say, how's it, and I've got 60 cards, and she'd be absolutely full of the joys because of, this love she'd received via paper. And but the ironic thing is, her and my granddad never bought each other Christmas cards. They would brought out a card they bought each other that they quite liked in like 1982. And it would go into the box and it would come out, So, but to the end of last year, there's a place up in the Memorial Garden that a tree I've kind of adopted. And when my nana and granddad passed away and were together, I would go to this tree and and it was a way of coping. I'd speak to them. I would have I'd speak to them and tell them how I was doing. And it became at Christmas, because I was so used to going and getting them a Christmas card, for the last few years, I've taken a Christmas card to the tree. And it was last Christmas, I didn't do it. I didn't do it last Christmas, and I never thought about doing it. And I thought, right, okay, we're now beginning to, we're accepting the loss. Because I don't believe the people we ever love truly leave us. I think they're here, but we just can't see them. That's how I see it. So going back to my granddad Pete, and this feeling, these emotions without emotion, names of emotion. I've spoken before about my ancestry, or I've certainly shared it on social media. A good friend of mine, Irene, and I go through to Edinburgh, and we've done it for years. We're going to do research on our family history, and it's an absolute passion for the pair of us, especially Irene. Irene, I have to give full credit for getting me into it, because she's encouraged me. And every couple of months we meet to go, and we either go to Leisure House or we go to the Scottish Geological Society, and we sit there and we get very geeky about the records and the censuses and old pictures and articles, and it's just like it's a joyful day, and I can't think of a better person to spend it with. She's great, Irene. And I was due to go shortly to catch up with her, and it ends up that I had a course I had to go in for my counselling training as part of my training up in Dundee. But I found that when I had the message and said, "I'm really sorry, I can't make it," there was a part of me that was relieved. And that's not because I didn't want to spend the day with my friend. It was, and I was like, what's this all about? What's this? What is this? Why am I feeling this emotion? And I was like, right, sit with it. Why are you feeling this? Okay. It's because when I'd go do the family research, I'd follow it with a visit to my grandparents, and I'd tell my granddad what I'd found. And this next visit, I am not going to be able to do that. So I'm not going to be able to jump in on the Sunday afternoon and sit down and say, "Look what I found," and show him all the certificates and tell him the stories and hear him tell me stories. And it's part of that